7th, the year 2016 of my Lord and Savior, the Lord and Savior, Yahshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. There is no king but King Jesus. The thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. All been done before. We just changed the actors on the stage. Technology and the terminology change a little, but oh well. We'll just continue to repeat the mistakes of history over and over and over and over again, never ever seeming to learn. So, since there's nothing really new going on, and we're back. The show is To Free America here on the American Freedom Network. And we need your help, folks. Simple as that. Need your help. Pay the light bill. Pay the phone bill. And most importantly, pay the squirrel food bill. We've had to switch over to GMOs because the squirrel was, switched to non-GMOs, sorry, because the squirrel was, well, he was getting tumors and fat, and, he was getting lazy and running slow, and the signal was bad. So we've had to switch squirrel food, and it's costing us more money. We need your help. Call Michael. Call Cody. 800-205-6245. 800-205-6245. You can make a pledge on your plastic. You can order a copy of today's show or past shows we've done, other shows here on the network. That helps us out. You can pick up that envelope and address it to KHNC. P.O. Box 1750. P.O. Box 1750, Johnstown, Colorado, Federal Occupation Zone, 80534. Your check, your money order, much appreciated. We'll even still take the fraudulent reserve notes. Other currencies, yeah, well, okay, throw them in if you got them. You could even throw in some weights and measures, the Lord's money, at the very least. Tell your friends and family, tune in, 1360 a.m. on the internet at America Newsnet, AmericaNewsNet.com. My guest today, Stewart Best and Larry Taylor, and we're going to, explore the esoteric, the unseen things, the view from behind the veil. Stewart, Larry, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me, Randy.
Let's start out today. Here's the headline. Scientists fear possible Planet X can destroy life on Earth. Seems like in the last few days, there's, more and more articles popping up on the alternative media. We had, a couple months ago where the scientists, had said, well, we think there's a great big another ninth planet out there. And so, we've been talking about this for years, guys. The shows we've done, that Planet X is there, it's coming in, there's books been written on it, all kinds of videos all over the internet. And what got me, and I wanted you to comment on this, was I'd go through these stories and then go down and start reading the comments. And by and large, the vast majority of the people commenting are going, hoo-ha, poo-ha, it's, nothing to this, it's just fear tactics, just everybody go back to sleep. So, is it part of the denial juice they're drinking, Larry, Stewart?
Go ahead, Larry. Oh, okay. I think that it has to be a lot of, there's been a lot more unfiltered denial coming out of denial. and it's covered America, and, they do deny the facts. Matter of fact, what's interesting, I had read the report that you just mentioned about, Planet Nine, and of course, Stewart knows well that we heard this report come out right after the Chilean observatory released some photos and data that they didn't have time to cover up, the powers that be. And then they came out with this Planet Nine, which is an very old movie, black and white movie years ago, and it's kind of become something interesting. However, there was another report out today, and I don't know, Randy, if you saw it or Stewart saw it, from Universe Today. They had a headline, and actually Yahoo News copied it, and it says, mysterious pull on Cassini probe says may help find Planet Nine. Says now new small perturbations are occurring on the spacecraft in orbit of Cassini, and could it possibly be the ninth planet? Says something is disturbing the orbit of the Cassini spacecraft. So we're having more and more what I guess Stewart and I may call clues to what's going on. Of course, I agree with Stan Baio, and I agree with many, many others that they're never really going to come out and tell people. I mean, they're never going to tell the public. And these small reports, though, it's very interesting to watch how they come out. They leak out. And
yes, the dam is leaking. we gotta shut the dam off. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we're back. Stewart Best and Larry Taylor, my guest today. You can find Stewart at thelightgate.us, thelightgate.us, also at lightgateblogger.com, lightgateblogger.com. Larry, you can sign up for Larry's email alerts. Just drop him an email at larrywtaylor.org, larrywtaylor.org. Stewart's there at the lightgate.us, all his audio videos. He's got a new subscription service. He's got a Friday night radio on Blog Talk Radio. You can find out more about that. But, it's time to wake up, folks. So, Stewart, Planet X and the comments of the, I just wonder if the comments are from a room full of government trolls there that sit there and, just bang out, don't pay attention, go back to sleep.
Well, I think you got a combination of things going on here. First of all, of course, there was a lot of people dying because they were reporting on this inbound object. So a lot of astronomers took dirt naps, and now we're getting some pictures, and as Larry was talking about, the first one that really had some real merit to it was the one from Chile. And then there was another one, and that I think was from a camera for a volcano. And then there was another one that a fellow took from an airliner. It clearly showed an object out there. But what's been going on is because the trolls are out there denying all of it, and, it's the same thing that happened with the Council on Foreign Relations. When we produced Iron Mountain Blueprint for Tyranny, we mentioned the CFR.
Yes.
And we were ridiculed and mocked by major media and many people because, there was no such thing as a CFR.
Yes.
Well, then all of a sudden, really, I guess probably there is a CFR, but it's benign, and these people are all gentlemen, and it's just conspiracy theory that they're trying to set up a new world order or anything like that. You're nuts if you believe that. Well, of course, then we had the same thing happen with the Bilderberg Group and all these others. So what they do is they deny with their trolls, and they have to do it now. I remember, I think it was Gordon Michael Scallion, had he probably still does, but I think he's changed the name of it, but he had a newsletter. It was called Earth Changes, and I subscribed to that. You remember, he is the guy that had the map, the future map of America.
Yes.
And how it would be split down the middle, et cetera, which was also very interesting to us. But anyway, he said that he had inside contracts with the government because he was kind of almost like a remote viewer, visionary, whatever you want to call him. But he said in one of his articles that the government would never tell the people anything. They would just deny it. And they weren't even sure anyway if all this was going to come to pass. So you've got this backdrop of murder, denial, now pictures. Now all of a sudden, like you were saying, now we've got these articles showing up. Well, we may have found something there. First of all, we have the ninth planet. Now the one Larry was talking about and you were talking about, the one you were talking about, Randy, came from a science page.
Yes.
I can't remember the name of the science page, but that's what they do. They run scientific articles. And now they're kind of admitting, well, the passage of this thing, you can bring meteor showers and impact hits, and probably was the primary reason for global extinction events. Well, why would they be floating articles like the ninth planet, extinction level events, unless now they know the people are going to be able to look up and see it?
Sooner
That's
than
exactly
they
what's
think.
going on.
Yes.
Yeah, Larry.
But still, it'll be, not to worry, folks, not to worry. It's way out there. Well, but I can see it.
Well, there are reports now, and I was listening to a YouTube article. You don't know because there's so much misinformation out there. But there are people who claim, one of the pictures came from Canada, and you can see this red object in the sky. It's night. It looks almost as big as the moon, but it does not have any of the features that the moon has. It's just a red object. And the theory was that some of these little moon-like objects that are coming in along with this mini solar system are at this point coming relatively close to the Earth, not close enough to cause any major problems yet. But they are coming close enough to be seen if you just happen to be at the right place at the right time to see it. And they move very fast, which they would, of course, because they're spinning, as I understand it, they're spinning in the opposite direction than our solar system. So when a body passes like that, you've got the two orbital speeds opposed to each other, and it would come through the horizon and go across the horizon extremely rapidly, if that's the case, if that's what they're actually seeing.
Yes. Well, I don't know. It's just, we have the Bible, okay?
Yes.
The Bible talks about all this. Then you've got the Colburn. You've read the Colburn where it talks about the destroyer. And if we take this, like the flood, Noah's flood, we go all over the world. Emmanuel Velikovsky did it. You go all over the world, and here's the legends of the worldwide flood. Okay.
Yep.
Same with.
Yeah, go ahead.
The same with Planet X, the destroyer, Nairubu, and, many names of it.
Well, people, number one, don't want to have to face their own demise. I posted something on a blog one time. I think I said, you have 7 years. You're going to die within 7 years. And we got almost no comments on it. I think we got 0 comments on it, but it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing. But people want to come to grips, number one, with what this means. Because if the Book of the Colburn can be trusted, and these ancient documents show what happened, and it also says, by the way, that the warning signs of the approach of the destroyer would not be recognized at all for what it is. And only the wise knew where it went, and only the wise people, we can interpolate that as rich, who can afford all these scientific committees to study this stuff. And so the vast majority of the human race will never be told until it's too late. And one of the comments that was made on one of these videos on YouTube was that by the time you see it, it's too late. There's nothing you do about it.
Yes.
Larry, what say you on that? I mean, this is fascinating stuff to me.
Oh, it's incredible. And, you know, I sent you a video from Rabbi Glazerson, a recent video where Glazerson was explaining a Torah code that he had found, and it had the terms in it: Yarborough, threat of a star, comet Shavit, and 5776. And, of course, you know, I had told you, Stewart, that, you know, when they began to put these out, some of these recent Torah codes dealing with the destroyer, Richard Shaw and Glazerson and the different ones involved in that came under tremendous attack. I mean, cyber attacks. Some people have been trying to construct what appears to be Glazerson Torah code and put Glazerson's picture on them, and they're fake, and they're putting them on the internet to ruin his credibility. But I sent you a copy of the one, you know, he recently did, and it just really clues in with Nibiru, or if you want to call it destroyer. But what's interesting is the Torah code itself talks about it being a star, which is a brown dwarf, a failed star, and that just fits right in with our binary solar system.
Yeah, which most people probably are not aware of, but then most people are not aware of chemtrails, which is right over their head. They don't look up, and I don't know if they even look within themselves. We're approaching kind of a zombie-itis virus here, where people are just walking around grunting and chowing down on their neighbor type thing. There doesn't seem to be any semblance of wanting to know anything. In all my years, I've never seen anything like it. The total lack of interest, like we were talking about at the very beginning, denial. These people are in total denial.
We can thank the tech revolution for that. You know,
yes.
Everybody got their face buried in their phone, and you know, causing mass chaos on the highways while we're texting down the road. Yes.
But what's interesting, we're getting various reports. One guy had a very interesting thing. You're all familiar with Revelation chapter 12, and you have that star sign, which occurs only once, and it occurs on Rosh Hashanah, September 23rd, 2017. That's the star sign in Revelation chapter 12. I think it's verse 1 and 2. Well, verse 3 or 4, I can't write, I don't have it in front of me, talks about the great red dragon. And so some people are beginning to put together that this is when the close approach to the earth will be made, would be in September, October of 2017. There are those who claim it's already come by and is now coming up around the sun, which may explain why we're already in a debris field. I mean, I know Larry knows, and I'm sure you do too, about all the fireball reports we're getting now. I mean, every week there's a big fireball that was spotted somewhere, and it just seems to be increasing as we get into this debris field of this the destroyer. And by the way, the destroyer is in the book of Isaiah, and it's in the book of Revelation. So, I mean, if people don't want to believe it, then they really don't believe what the Bible has to say either.
Well, I mean,
Which
if
they
we
don't.
did that, then we would have to admit that, there is a creator God. There is, man is fallen sin being on this planet. And we would have to look at that and say, wow, I may have to get down on my face before the Lord and repent.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to do that now, do we?
No. We don't want to do that. We're having too much fun here as it is.
Yeah, I know. It's something. Larry knows all about that end of it, too, because, he's been in the ministry for years. What have you seen? I see the same thing. I just see nothing but total denial, and they're off and running to the latest football game, baseball game, whatever. They're mad upon their idols.
Yes.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, what's interesting, Randy, with what you said there and what Stewart commented.
Hang on to that
I'll
thought.
finish. Sure.
Hang on to that thought, and we'll be right back, folks, here on the American Freedom Network. And we're back. Larry Taylor and Stewart Vest, my guest today. You can sign up for Larry Taylor's email alerts. Just drop him an email. Go to his website, LarryWTaylor.org. LarryWTaylor.org. Stewart's website is thelightgate.us. Thelightgate.us. Also, lightgateblogger.com. Lightgateblogger.com. And the Night Shadows radio program is on tomorrow night, Friday night, at 6 p.m. Mountain Time till 8. I've joined Stewart and Larry there and on a couple shows and conned them into coming on my show here today. From Revelation.
Didn't have to do a lot of conning.
Oh, okay. Revelation chapter. Yes, Larry, finish your thought there.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say what you were talking about, social media, and Stewart was commenting on about people rejecting and denying and getting rid of any data that disturbed them. We're now in this social revolution, I guess you could say, to where they would rather, and I know this is scriptural, they would rather believe a lie and be damned. I mean, we're literally living that out and seeing that now, and that's why, social media, if you really get involved in it, now it has some good points and like this radio shows and things, and we can transfer information on it. However, at the same time, it is a great blinding process to the masses who really don't want to have any eyes anyway. So that was just my comment.
Well, it is. I mean, it's just the total distraction between, the social media. We started out with television. Or started out with radio, okay? Everybody sat around their radio and listened, and listened to FDR promise a chicken in every pot, at the height of the Great Depression and the ongoing emergency that's been going on for 84 years now and all that. And then television comes along. Wow. And, you drive by, if you drive by in the evening and you drive down a residential street, almost every house you drive by, you see that flickering blue glow. You know, the curtains are shut, but you can still see that flickering blue glow all over. And that has been Satan's biggest tool to distract the people and the church, the Christians, from, you know, really looking around, because we're supposed to be watching, aren't we?
Well, that was a theoretical thing, I think.
Oh,
we were supposed to be, but that's a supposed. Well, actually, it was a commandment. Supposed it.
Yes. Well, yeah, we're commanded to watch.
Yes, we are.
Okay. I guess that meant Dancing with the Stars and Survival, and, you know, okay, we'll watch that.
Yeah, yes. But you are right. I mean, it's amazing. You go down any street, and if the house has a window towards the street, you do. At night, you just see this, and a lot of these houses are small, and they've got these 90-inch TVs in them. You know, the television was the best instrument we could have ever had to maintain freedom in this country, and of course, they just stole it, made it into reverse.
Yes. And now it's a 24-hour a day. You know, I remember when, you know, here it is, it's 10 or 11 o'clock at night, time to turn the television off, and we put the test pattern up.
Yes.
But from Revelation, chapter 12, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she being with child, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. You, in one of your Prophetic Insider magazines, and I'm sure that's still available for folks.
Yes.
That you lay that whole star chart out there and draw it in there, and how that's coming about. You said Rosh Hashanah of next year.
Yes. Yep, that's the only time that it appears with the 12 stars over her head. It's an amazing coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It's by design. But the fact that it would fall exactly on a 9/23, and you remember all the hoopla about 9/23 on 2015?
Yes.
And 9:23 in the morning, 9:23 when the Pope and Obama shook hands. So, and Larry has mentioned this before too. Or is it possible that we're actually looking at Joseph's 2-year, 5-year scenario? 2 years of partial harvest, which you were talking about, farmers out your way, and I think farmers everywhere are starting to get into a lot of financial trouble. But if you had 2 years of partial harvest, and then we had a passage of Planet X, there would be no harvest. And it does make you wonder, because the occult spent a fortune pointing out 9/23 in movies, TV, cartoons, et cetera, et cetera.
Now it's all over the place of 9/23.
Yeah.
And, you know, here we are again. We're commanded to watch. And here we are again. The Lord said, there shall be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars. Distress of nations. What do we got going on around us right now? All the nations are in distress.
They're restless.
You know, one of the most interesting things, guys, is the fact that, and I've watched this for a few years, you know, when Stewart came out with his Omega Code DVD, his presentation on the Omega Code, and you know, even after that, I began to watch the Torah codes and how that Torah codes began to reveal dates and years that we were coming into past 2012, you know, going on into the dates and years, you know, 2015, 16, maybe 17, possibly 18. it seems to me that the Torah codes are harmonizing really with the time frame set out in Stewart Best Omega Code. What do you think, Stewart?
Well, it appears to be. Now, they're a year early, 2015, 2016, 2017. I mean, the dates are there in the, but you and I both know that, well, I'm sure Randy does too, that you can't always date something or make it prophetic, I guess would be the word. Anyway, we'll get back to it later.
Yeah, well, Christ was coming back in 1988.
Yes.
Back to the future, yes. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. And we're back. Stewart Best, Larry Taylor, my guest today. You can find Larry, get on his email alerts. Just drop him a line at larrywtaylor.org. LarryWTaylor.org. Just say, put me on the list. Yes. Stewart can be reached at thelightgate.us, thelightgate.us, also at lightgateblogger.com, lightgateblogger.com. You can order the DVD, the Omega Code. You really need to get this, folks. It is just mind-boggling, the timeline of Israel. And Stewart lays it out, understandable. Wake up your friends and family. That's the Omega Code. You can call 800-257-2672. 800-257-2672. Signs in the heavens. Yes, sirree.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Omega Code, what interested me in that was the comment that the Lord made to Noah. Man has 120 years, and then there's going to be trouble coming. Well, Jesus said, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be. Well, then we got to have 120 year. Where does it begin? Well, if you peg it to the first Jewish Congress for the establishment of the nation of Israel in 1897, and you come forward 120 years, you have all these cycles within that 120 years that are just absolutely amazing. And you can't deny it. We even have the headlines and whatnot that are, what happened to Israel during each one of those cycle years.
Yeah.
And the cycle years are 10-year cycles, 20-year cycles, 30-year, 40-year, 50-year, and 70-year, all within that 120 years. Now, there's no way mathematically that that's coincidental. In fact, the odds are probably quintillions to 1 that that's coincidental. So I think you can prove conclusively whether people want to believe it or not believe it is immaterial. Reality is, and that reality is that Israel is the time clock for this whole planet. And that's why Israel is hated, has been since her establishment. And I think it's subconscious, it's spiritual. They hate Israel because I think they know unconsciously, somehow, that when the nation of Israel began to be formed, this was the end of planet Earth. And we are now coming in on the final years, and I think it's right there.
Well, and Israel was, I may not be right on this, but Israel was basically in 70 A.D. and right through there, basically totally wiped off the map.
Yes.
Done away with.
Yes.
No other nation that I know of in history has been wiped off the map and come back to prominence.
Only two, Israel and Babylon the Great. Isn't that amazing?
I like that.
Just two, yeah. Babylon comes back, just like the Bible says. Everybody says, well, it's Rome that's going to be revived. It's Rome. No, it isn't. John the Revelator clearly says Rome will never be revived. It's Babylon that's going to be revived, which is why Babylon the Great really has quite a few pages in Scripture about it, about her rise, about what happens to her, and every bit of the parameters and the prophecies against Babylon the Great, guess where they're happening? Right here in the United States and nowhere else. And so it's Babylon and Israel that form this final end-time scenario. And, of course, you got Putin, the wild card. You've got that kid over there in North Korea. He's another wild card. You got Say again?
Oh, I'm being facetious. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that was about it. I mean, you got all these players now exactly where they're supposed to be, doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Now, how do people explain that? This stuff was written 2,500 years ago.
Yeah.
A lot of it, 2,000 years ago, more of it.
Now, I would disagree a little on Rome being totally wiped out.
Rome doesn't get wiped out. It just is modified, but it's not Rome that's revived. The EC, right. I think that's where they look for it, that the EC is the revived Rome. But if you really want to look at a revived Rome, look right here.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, look at our Capitol building and everything else.
Exactly. You got the Vatican and you got America.
Yes.
That's the Vatican. You can't leave the Vatican out because that's a power play.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is Rome never went away? They just morphed into the quote Holy Roman Empire.
Yes, exactly.
And you know the Jesuits back here behind the scenes. You know, and I was going through looking at some videos on all of the rich men, the rulers, okay, in this country, of all of these people that have graduated from, quote, Jesuit universities. You know, Georgetown, Carroll Quigley, Bill Clinton, all that tie in there.
Yes.
It's, it's a grand conspiracy, guys.
Oh, it absolutely is. What's interesting, though, and Stewart knows what I'm talking about, he brought up the wild cards. What is so interesting as we watch this scenario is the wild card scenario, which we know Netanyahu's one of those. We know that Putin is one of the wild cards. Interestingly, Trump seems to be a new wild card in America being played out right now.
Yeah.
Yes. The political docudrama, yes. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. And we're back. Larry Taylor and Stewart Best, my guest today. You can reach Larry. Just go to LarryWTaylor.org, LarryWTaylor.org. Drop him an email, say, put me on the list. Stewart, you can reach him at thelightgate.us, thelightgate.us, also at lightgateblogger.com, lightgateblogger.com. Scroll down a little ways there, and you'll see the Night Shadows radio show on Friday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Check that out. You've got Barry Rothman on tomorrow?
Richard Shaw.
Richard Shaw. Okay.
And Larry both.
Yep.
And
Larry. So that ought to be a
very interesting show because, Richard is the documentary producer on The Watchers.
Oh, really?
With Mazzulli.
Okay.
So that ought to be a good show.
Yes. Ought to be most interesting.
Yeah.
Had put people on the edge of their seat with their hair standing on end.
Well, it's kind of like what Stan Dale did when he went back in there and researched the actual language about the return of the so-called gods, little G. What he found out is frightening. Because when these guys get back here, they're not going to be very nice.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You mean they're not here to help us out and make us jump to the next evolutionary plateau that, well, we'll all be as gods.
Well, that's right. If you can't make the jump, of course, you have to be terminated.
Ah. You're holding
that's
everyone
just one
else
of the
back,
small
right?
little details.
Yes.
Reminds me of the old Twilight Zone movie, The Black and White, To Serve Man.
The cookbook. Yeah.
Yes.
Remember that one? Well, Rod Serling had some very interesting viewpoints. Let me put it to you that way. But yeah, the Twilight Zone was way, way ahead of its time. And unfortunately, a lot of what Rod Serling had on there is coming to pass now.
Well, if we look at the television and the movies and everything else, and you've done a lot of work on this, Stewart, and others, that the movies and television are, what do you want to say, legal notice?
Yes. Actually, the Bible is a book of legal notice.
Yes.
Itself.
Yes, absolutely.
It's an indictment. It's a legal indictment of the human race. People don't realize that, but that's exactly what the Bible is. It's a legal document from heaven, and it indicts the entire human race, which is why Jesus came down here really as a defense attorney and said, look, if you'll do what I tell you to do, because you're in a heavenly court, you'll escape, but if you won't do it, you won't. And so it's amazing. People just don't look at it from a legal. They always look at this stuff from a religious point of view. And I don't think the Bible is really a religious book. It's just turned into one. It's got so much stuff in there, it's incredible.
Absolutely. Need to be reading it, folks, with an open heart and open mind. Stay tuned. We'll be back after the snooze here on the American Freedom Network. Stay with us. And we're back with the second hour of To Free America here on the American Freedom Network. And we still need your help, folks. Simple as that. Need your help. Pay the light bill, the phone bill, feed the squirrel out there running in the cage in the transmitter so this signal goes out to you. We need your help. Call Michael. Call Cody, 800-205-6245. 800-205-6245. You can make a pledge on your plastic. You can order a copy of today's shows. Past shows we've done, other shows here on the network. That helps us out. You can pick up that envelope and address it to KHNC, P.O. Box 1750, P.O. Box 1750, Johnstown, Colorado, Federal Occupation Zone 80534. Your check, your money order, much appreciated. We'll even still take the fraudulent reserve notes for a little while longer. Other currencies, sure. Throw them in. You could even throw in some just weights and measures, the Lord's money. At the very least, tell your friends and family. Tune in, 1360 a.m. on the Internet at America News Net, AmericaNewsNet.com, and call the advertisers, folks. Let them know you're out there, you're listening, and you appreciate their support of American Freedom Network. My guests today, Larry Taylor and Stewart Best. You can get on Larry's list. More lists you get on, folks, the better it is. But the main list you need to be on is the Lord Jesus Christ. You need to be on His list. But to get on Larry's list, just drop him an email at his website, larrywtaylor.org, larrywtaylor.org. Stewart can be found at thelightgate.us, thelightgate.us, also lightgateblogger.com, lightgateblogger.com. Scroll down on Lightgate, thelightgate.us to Night Shadows. That'll take you to his radio show and the radio archives. They're at Blog Talk Radio. And most interesting show tomorrow evening. Hopefully I'm at home in time to, it'll be archived.
Yes. Yeah,
why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure. Psalm chapter 2, verses 1 through 5. That's the conspiracy, guys.
Absolutely. Larry, as a police officer, can probably tell you something about conspiracies from a human perspective. A lot of people think they don't exist. I think Larry could probably tell you otherwise.
Oh, absolutely, Stewart. And this is a war that's been going on a long time. When people read the Psalm, I call it the Psalm 2 war. This is an ancient war, and it seems to be reaching a culmination of events in our time. And, of course, Psalm 2, nobody ever reads it. Nobody ever listens to it. Nobody ever tries to understand it. But it's happening every single day in America. And one of the interesting things about in law enforcement, I studied a lot of the terminologies with the crimes and crimes that people commit. One of the interesting things about a conspiracy, matter of fact, number one is, if you go to, the law books of the USA, almost every state has a conspiracy law that you can violate, including a federal conspiracy law that you can violate. So that clearly shows there are conspiracies. However, most of the conspiracies I have read about and studied and even filed a case here or there, a conspiracy is more than mere preparation. That's the terminology. In other words, a conspiracy is not just a theory. A theory would be something short of preparation, but the law says, that's been written down, that a conspiracy is more than mere preparation by more than one person. So here we're talking about the rich men of the earth, Stewart, and all this dovetails right into them.
So maybe we should go out and arrest all of them and put them in the FEMA camps. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. We've got Loretta Lynch and the Abomination and the guy before him, the last AG. I mean,
Holder,
yeah.
Yeah, Holder. I mean, they're in a conspiracy to rob the people of their unalienable rights.
So, what? Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was thinking, why don't people believe in a conspiracy? I mean, God says there is a conspiracy. That ought to be enough for most Christians.
Yes.
It should be, anyway. But don't husbands conspire against their wives and wives against their husbands, and especially children against their parents? I remember growing up, and, the definition of a conspiracy, as Larry was saying, you get together with your brother or your sister and conspire against your parents, like the Parent Trap movie.
Yeah.
Remember that one? I don't know why people don't believe in conspiracy when actually it's the order of the day.
That's right.
I mean, even a birthday party, technically, that you're going to throw for somebody you love, and you get together with 4 or 5 different other people, and they, in turn, reach out to their friend. Is that not a definition of a conspiracy?
Well, absolutely.
So when it comes to the Bible, why don't people believe that there actually is a conspiracy by the named individuals in Psalm 2, Deuteronomy chapter 28, and Revelation 18? Why won't they believe it? And in America, of all places, we have the right to rise up and put a stop to it.
Absolutely. We have the right, we have the duty to do
Yes.
it. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we're back. Stewart Best, my guest, and Larry Taylor with me. You can reach Stewart at thelightgate.us, thelightgate.us, also at lightgateblogger.com, lightgateblogger.com. Night Shadows radio show tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. Catch him there. You go to thelightgate.us, scroll down to the Night Shadow show, and click on that, and that'll take you over there. Richard Shaw and Larry and Stewart will be on tomorrow night, also talking about the Bible codes. But we've got some, I've noticed, Larry, in your postings, because you post a lot of the bigger magnitude earthquakes, but that Vanuatu, I've got a article here from the Big Wobble, and it says Vanuatu is under earthquake attack. Third major quake strike, the magnitude 6.9. Where is Vanuatu, and what's so important there, or are they just testing their earthquake weapons?
No, interestingly, Vanuatu is out in the Pacific region, and ironically, to put it even more importantly, Randy, I'll put it this way, and Stewart knows what I'm talking about. It's also located in the what we call the Ring of Fire. Now that makes it very, very important. And Standeo used to watch closely any earthquakes in this region, especially the Ring of Fire region, because you can really have problems. You're talking Vanuatu, also Indonesia, and those areas had been somewhat quiet over the last month or two. However, some major ones, almost 7s. Well, one was a 7 recently, and some 6 almost 7s. The last 2 days have been occurring in that region. There's a real stirring, and I'm not sure where the antipodal is. Maybe Stewart would know where the antipodal is, but I do know that maybe Oklahoma's the antipodal, but we've been having considerable amount of earthquake activity in Oklahoma on up into Missouri and the Kansas region. But we're talking Ring of Fire, and Stewart knows what I'm saying.
Yeah, the antipodal would be out probably near the North Atlantic, the ridge. And, there's a lot of activity going on in the plates everywhere. Under, they have, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of these little underwater volcanoes have they found.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember a long time ago that Russian scientists said that the North American plate was beginning to break up. And we're just seeing all of this. I believe it's Earth expansion, which is why you have rifts, why you have these sinkholes developing all over the world. As the sun is throwing a lot of energy into the core. I don't exactly know how it works, not a scientist, but it seems like the Earth is expanding. And you have to remember that the Lord said, and Larry can correct me here, but as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be. And I think it stands. among others that have said that the earth expanded during the days of Noah. Is that right, Larry?
That's correct, and it's been ever expanding since. And Stan says that a lot of the sinkholes are basically stretch marks on the surface of the continued expansion because of the sun activity in the interior of the earth. Matter of fact, Stewart, you remember over 100 years ago or so, the Norwegian seer had actually made a prediction about the time frame we live in, and he called it, he remarked about the disquietings deep within the earth that was going to begin to cause real trouble.
That's right. He did. Yeah, the earth would become in the core, basically, I think is what he was referring to.
Yeah.
So, you know, how do I word this? I think it was Noah's, you know, that ne'er-do-well, I think she's Cherokee, prophetess, if you want to call her that, said that there would be rifts, sinkholes so big that they'd actually, at the end of it, swallow up whole towns and villages, and rifts would develop, huge rifts. Volcanoes would begin to form in areas never known for volcanoes. Earthquakes would start in places never known for earthquakes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. As the earth, she didn't call it an earth expansion, but I think that's what she meant. And,
yes,
you might remember David Wilkinson's vision. He said that there was a huge earthquake that was extremely dangerous, that occurred in an area not known for earthquakes, is what he thought. Anyway, he was not specific about it, but he said he thought it was in an area not ever known before, really, for major earthquake activity. And what are they talking about in the Northwest? You know, you've got that rift zone out there, and there's been more than one prophet who said that there was going to be a major quake up there in Washington State, Vancouver, down through Oregon, et cetera, et cetera. In fact, if I remember right, there was a seismologist who lived in Oregon who moved his entire family out of Oregon because he was afraid there was going to be a huge earthquake out there. And that was many years ago. And Larry, you're sitting right there on Earthquake Center.
Yes.
Earthquake Central.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. Go ahead,
in fact, in Daniel Holding's book, last book, Larry, where you're prominently featured, the cabin's roof kind of fell in on you.
You're so right. And listen, you know, some of his book actually came from some dreams that I had and was given, and it's rather interesting. Matter of fact, I really am not released to even talk about some of the things that I've seen, but a few of those details that he's actually incorporated as fiction in his book. And of course, it's a fiction novel, of course, you know. If it happens, it's kind of like Stewart's work. If it happens to come true, oh boy, we didn't know that, you know. But we're living in unprecedented times. One of the things I was going to add to what Stewart was saying too about the earthquakes in the scenarios, he talked about the antipodal is the Atlantic, and they're really warning. The last a few weeks, I've seen more data beginning to come out. They're warning about a big under Iceland. And of course, you know, Iceland's been somewhat quiet since the earlier, you know, eruptions there, and we haven't really paid much attention. But I do note that what Stewart was saying, and you know, we could include Yellowstone. I believe the expansion of the Earth and the disquietings in the center of the planet moved the magma around, as Standeo says, and some of these plumes may at one point erupt because of the interior activity.
You know, speaking about Yellowstone, I was reading an article today where they have stopped the seismic records in Yellowstone. Did you see that?
Really?
Yeah.
I had heard that they began to changed a lot of the seismic readings, and USGS was, matter of fact, Stan basically had stopped dealing with much of the data from USGS because it's a user-friendly new USGS, and they really don't want anybody to become fearful. So there we go. That's some more deception, and really, when we have these 6 and 7, Stewart, I believe that they're probably higher than that, but we're not being told.
Yeah, this is the headline says, breaking. It was deliberate. Yellowstone public seismographs taken offline. And the paragraph below says the seismographs monitoring earthquakes around the Yellowstone supervolcano have been deliberately taken offline from public view. This is a confirmed, deliberate act and will stay this way. So the public is not able to see seismic activity there.
Yeah.
So why would they do that unless there is a major problem developing?
Well, interestingly, Stewart, do you remember the movie 2012? Wasn't that where they were monitoring the disquietings deep within the earth by the activity of the sun? Wasn't they monitoring that from Yellowstone, a location at Yellowstone in the movie?
Yeah, because remember the guy had a radio program broadcasting out of Yellowstone, and he went up to watch it blow, and he, of course, went up with it. But that's probably taken from a fellow by the name of Truman, who was out there at Mount St. Helens. And he had a camp that the only reason I know about it is Northern Pacific Railway used to go up to that camp. And I flew for Northern Pacific. So we take the executive out there, and they'd go up. But anyway, Harry lived up there, and he said he would never move. And he was killed when Mount St. Helens erupted.
That's right. Matter of fact, Stewart, you remember Red Elk actually warned before that eruption about at Mount St. Helens, and then talked to you again on an interview about a renewal of activity at St. Helens, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He said that Mount St. Helens was going to blow again, but this time it would be the opposite side of the mountain. And it was going to be a horrific explosion when it went.
We have a new level plain out there for farmland. Yes.
Eventually, maybe in the millennial reign. I don't know if America's even in existence, but yeah.
You mentioned little Iceland up there. That Icelandic people had the guts and the cojones to stand up to the rich men of the earth, the bankers, and throw them in jail. And now, with the, quote, Panama Papers, their prime minister was just forced to resign. That, why haven't we done it here, folks? Why haven't we done it here? I mean, how many years have I been yelling at the top of my voice that all you need to do is go to your congressman, your senator, and just say, I demand an honest money system. I demand an honest money system, and here's how you can do it. Boom. There's the legislation. But no. Oh, I forgot. We live in...
Well, Randy?
Yes.
Randy, I was just going to answer your question. You said, why not in America? Well, I believe that we've been so trained by the media, we think that the president will always protect Americans, and we think that the Congress will always protect Americans, and then we think on top of that if the other two fail completely, that the Supreme Court will protect Americans, and guess what? None of them do.
Well, no. They work for the, quote, bank. I have Harmon Taylor on. He's come to the conclusion that it's all just one bank, okay? It's the money changers in the temple. We're all in servitude to the, quote, bank.
Yeah, I'd say
right.
the National Monetary Fund. Isn't that the World Bank, basically?
Well, we got the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, Bank of International Settlements. You know, we throw all the others in, Wells Fargo and Bank of America and J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs and all. Throw them all in there, and they all are the bank.
Yeah, you can't win.
Can't win. Yes, we can. The Lord wins.
The Lord wins, right?
If you're on the Lord's side, then you win. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we're back. Phone lines are open, by the way, 877-254-7524. Question, comment for my guest today, Stewart Best. You can find him at thelightgate.us, thelightgate.us, also at lightgateblogger.com, lightgateblogger.com. Tomorrow evening, 6 p.m., is his Night Shadows radio show. You can just go to thelightgate.us and scroll down to the Night Shadows and click on that, take you over there. Larry, you can get on his list. Just drop him an email, say, put me on the list at larrywtaylor.org, larrywtaylor.org. The Omega code is available from Stewart, Best Video Productions. You can call 800-257-2672, 800-257-2672. And order the Omega code. It'll floor you, folks. It'll floor you. Let's see, where were we? I ran out of notes here, other than I'm sick and tired of this political docudrama, and it's just, yeah. Like, that's real news, guys.
Hey, I was going to ask you, Randy, I was going to ask Stewart, have you guys looked at my blog today, LarryWTaylor.org? Right at the bottom of the Larry Taylor News Flash today, I had a new artifact image there of one they just found in a mountain which borders the old, what they call the old Inca Trail between Cuzco and Quito, Ecuador. They just found this artifact, and if you look clearly at it, and I'd like Stuart's opinion, it looks Egyptian. I mean, seriously.
It does. Yeah, I looked at that. That's very Egyptian. What does that tell us?
Ah, it is. Yes.
I don't think there's any question. Yeah, that's Egyptian.
Well, since we're on that, and Ecuador and Peru and Klaus Dona and all the stuff that he's uncovered, go into that a little bit, Larry.
Well, it's amazing, and you know, what's interesting, too, I just learned about a month ago that Klaus Dona is, you know, he was head of the museum in Vienna, Austria, that it's reported he's now making a move to Ecuador. And the reason behind that is the incredible Islamic movement, what people are calling invasion of Europe, and they really are invading into Austria and Germany and France and Belgium. And, you know, you read the headlines, and, of course, we've got them coming, you know, here now, too. But Klaus is, you know, he dug up some giant bones in Ecuador. He had them researched by experts, and they declared that Klaus had in his hands the bones of giant men, humanoid giants. And so that just says, you know, no matter what people have been told about there were never any giants, that this was just legends in Genesis 6 and the Bible, Klaus is digging up the information. But I find it interesting, though, that he is leaving Europe and going to Ecuador, because he had also told me that there are digs and things that he needed to do there. And to do that, you have to be on site. And so I would say that, now the image that I put up is from a friend of his, a guy by the name of Stan Grist, and you can find his website, a link there on my blog. But apparently there's a lot of undiscovered stuff underground in Ecuador, and interestingly, this may become a real dig, so to speak. And Klaus is so interesting. And one of the things Klaus has said, and Randy, I know you agree, and Stewart, he said the more we dig and the more we dig up, he said it seems the fewer answers are there, and we just have more questions.
Yes.
And I think one of the giants that you dug up was 24 feet high?
Oh, yeah, 24 or 30 feet tall. He dug up a number of them. Matter of fact, he had a friend that was, believe it or not, a Jesuit. That was a priest, an old priest in Ecuador that actually showed him the burial places of giants and where they were buried and the digs and where he could obtain artifacts. And matter of fact, Stewart, that's where Klaus, remember, found the Ecuadorian pyramid of the Creator, the sun, that had the writing on the bottom, the Son of the Creator comes.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff. I mean, this is being dug up there in Ecuador.
The constellation Orion.
Yes.
And what was interesting to me is if you go to Stargate, the movie, Daniel,
oh, yeah,
covers the secret code that they were not actually, wasn't a language, but it was rather symbolic of it was a star chart. They were constellations, and that was what allowed them to unlock the Stargate. And it was Orion that he discovered that set off that whole trail.
That's
and
right.
There are a number of places which talk about that the Lord, when he returns, will come through Orion's gate, I guess. So, maybe Orion, maybe that we don't really know what we're looking at when we go out into the heavens anyway. There are more and more scientists that are coming to the conclusion that we actually are in a holographic universe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and what's interesting, Stewart, is what's the odds on a guy with the name of Daniel to be involved with Stargate?
Exactly.
You remember the book of Daniel was sealed up at one time, so there would be things we wouldn't know until the end.
Yes, and he was the decoder.
That's right.
The book of Daniel, he unlocks the book of Revelation. So he's a decoder, and in the movie Stargate, that's exactly what he was. He was a decoder. So it makes you wonder, how much does Hollywood know about all this stuff? I mean, that was a really good movie. I've always enjoyed watching it because that started in Egypt where they dug up this gate. And I did see a picture, it was an old picture, of a round gate, and it said that it had been dug up. And it looked very much like a Stargate that they had in the movie. So I guess gates can be anything they want. And speaking about gates, what about this Temple of Baal that they're mounting up in New York?
And London. Don't forget them.
Did you see the video where the guy drew a line from New York, where the gate's going to be, to the London gate, and if you extend the line beyond, it goes exactly right to the old Temple of Baal.
Wow.
It's a straight line. So there is something more here than just gates going up?
Yes. The perversion continues. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Think they can actually alter any outcome. It is apparent they do not understand total foreknowledge, something only the Lord knows. As he himself says, with Alpha and Omega, and knows the end before the beginning. Even the ancients taught that time is a wheel, a circle, an age that blends into another age.
Yeah, and we're in a blending stage going into the next stage. If we're not already, it depends on how, I guess, one wants to look at it. But I don't think people understand what foreknowledge actually means. If you have total foreknowledge, then you can place somebody, have them born. The Bible clearly teaches that your date of birth and your death are already known to the Lord, as well as where you're going to be, your locations, and what kind of an area you're going to be allowed to move around in. A lot of people don't realize that, but it is in there. So he can put somebody in a location at a specific time without touching their free will at all to get what he wants. And it's amazing how that, if you really understand it, all this fretting that's going on and all the nail biting and everything and all of that, like the rich men do, and how they frustrate Larry, they frustrate me, they think they're going to change anything. They are not. In fact, it's all working for the good of those who love the Lord. And I mentioned Israel in that blog and how they thought, well, we got to kill this guy because he's going to destroy Israel if we don't get rid of him. And by killing him, they save Israel.
Yes.
And he foreknew all this stuff. So yeah, you can't change anything. It's all been pre-written. That was the point I was trying to make. The future knows. Because every decision, every choice of everyone, of every nation, the future knew it. That's why you can't go back and change prophecy. Like in CERN, there is that thing to where they're going to try. I still firmly believe it. This is what they're really trying to do. But you maybe be able to go back and view a historical event, but you would never be allowed to go back and alter it, because then Bible prophecy wouldn't come true.
Now, what's interesting too, Stewart, you mentioned go back and view. In one of our recent shows, I retold the report from Ed Dames in one of his latter books. He described where he and others tried to remote view the sacking of Jerusalem and where the ark was taken, where the ark was placed, and how it left that location, if it did, and where it went. And they were allowed, he said, to remote view just a little bit of the interchange between the priest and some of the leaders of the Romans. But he said when the ark began to move, he said that their view was blocked continually over and over. They were not allowed to view what happened to the ark. And when I asked what was it blocking their view, he said it wasn't human.
Well, they do have a project they call Looking Glass, in which so-called aliens, the Greys, I guess, took some of our military guys and congressmen and whatnot back and showed them the crucifixion of Christ. The point being that although they may be able to look at it, they can't change it. Because if you could change it, you could alter history. Back to the Future was one of the most scientific, they said, series of films ever made with Doc and Marty in those movies. And skewed timelines, et cetera, et cetera.
And just absolutely full of the occult numerology.
Oh, yeah.
Loaded with it, and loaded with 923. No, that movie was, as most of them are, loaded with full occult mystery religion stuff. And it programs people without them realizing it. Now, I enjoyed Back to the Future 1 more than the others simply because it kind of takes you back to viewing what it was like when you grew up. If you could go back, Randy, and tell yourself what you know now, if you could get yourself to listen back when you were a kid, that'd be a quite advantage to have that kind of foreknowledge is really what we're talking about here. Total foreknowledge. And I don't think the rich men of the earth or people really examine what the Bible is talking about when it talks about Alpha and Omega. I know the beginning, I know the end from the beginning. I mean, isn't that what remote viewing is for? Is to gain foreknowledge?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
The bots? Isn't that to gain foreknowledge? Why don't they read the Bible and then they get really good foreknowledge? You know, accurate foreknowledge. And the rich men of the earth would know that they shouldn't be fooling around with the UN or even forming it. They'd be running the other way because they know what the end was.
Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back. Finish off today's show here on the American Freedom Network. Enter ye in at the strait gate. For wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. And many there be which go in thereat. Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way, which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Not every one that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works. And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. Matthew chapter 7. That critical juncture there, Stewart, Larry, of the Christians out there and everyone, of the question of, there's lots of people that know Jesus Christ. There's lots of unsaved people that take his name in vain every day, many, many times. But we've removed Jesus Christ from our society, from our law, our land. I mean, you cannot speak the name of Jesus Christ without, the wrath of the devil coming down upon your head.
Yeah, you can't say his name in business now. You go to work and try to do that, you'll find yourself in trouble. It's kind of odd, though. You could talk about Buddha. You could
talk about Allah.
Oh, yeah.
But you mentioned that one name, and you're in a lot of trouble. So that ought to be a tip-off, I would think. Larry, what do you think? I mean, why is it that one name irritates people so much?
Well, I think we go right back to Psalm 2 war. The most hated of all humanity, all fallen humanity, is the Lord and his anointed. And that's where it seems like we've come to a crossroads in the end times where that war has taken even on a new level against the Lord and his anointed.
Yeah. Now, when you were a police officer and whatnot, what was their attitude at various police departments, sheriff departments, etc.?
Well, I came from the old dinosaur age where we protected and served. I mean, we really did it. We didn't just say it, and it wasn't just simply something marked on your car, protect and serve. It was real. And then I told you, it began to morph into us and them mentality. And, of course, I'm sure now the blue line that's out there now is probably looking back at this morphing process and thought that wasn't good because now the chickens are coming home to roost, as you would say, or the eggs are hatching, or fulfillment is coming from the seeds that were sown, and now the blue line is the target in America. And it's sad. It's really, really, really sad. But, I didn't have problems with being not only a Christian cop, I was also, I had meetings and all of this and then went places, and there's not a problem. Today, it all seems different, totally different, and I don't recognize much today of what the past was.
Yeah, it's changed rapidly, hasn't it?
Yes. Gentlemen, thank you so very much for coming on today.
Well, thank you, Randy. Appreciate it.
Shalom, Randy.
Shalom and God bless. Shabbat shalom, everyone. And remember, the question is not, do you know the Lord Jesus Christ? The question is, does he know you?